Friends, Greg Newmaster coming at you again with another action figure review. Today I have the Medicom Mafex Batman and Robin from The Dark Knight Returns. Uh, Dark Knight Returns, probably one of the most famous graphic novels ever written. It was originally a 4-part series written by the legendary Frank Miller, who has fallen out of taste these days just because he's a little ultra violent in how he writes, and it just depends on what you like. But he's legendary because he brought the grittiness and darkness back to Batman. And it started with this story, and then it continued into Batman Year One. He's also famous for 300. If you like 300, his work on Daredevil, he's just a legend in the business. And, you know, I personally really enjoy this story, even though, like, the story is so good that all of the modern Batman movies have borrowed from it. We've seen it, you know, originally inspiring Tim Burton's Batman and Batman Returns, with how dark and gritty that was for the time, and Tim Burton took it a step further and made it like weird, so it was weird and dark and gritty. And then that was revolutionary in 1989, and then we saw it in the Nolan trilogy taken a step further, but in a more realistic sense, with The Dark Knight, the second Batman film in the Nolan trilogy. And we saw how Heath Ledger's Joker was. And then ultimately we saw Frank Miller's Batman come to the big screen with Ben Affleck in Batman vs. Superman, which was a combo story of the DC storyline, the death of Superman, and The Dark Knight Returns. And they just mashed those two storylines together, which I actually enjoyed that film. People really hate on the Snyderverse, and they hate on just those movies, but I don't know. I really liked them. I like the dark and gritty. I think the dark and gritty is appropriate for DC, because they're such big and grand characters. Not so much for Superman, even though I really did like the Man of Steel, and I thought that was a unique take on Superman, and I felt like you're not going to replicate Christopher Reeve Superman. So I like what Henry Cavill did, and I liked how he was exploring and becoming Superman, and he just wasn't Superman right away. But I digress. So I was very excited to get these figures when I saw this 2-pack launched. This is a very different Batman, but man, these figures look amazing. And I know DC has produced quite a few of the Frank Miller versions of Batman and Carrie Kelly Robin, but Mafex does it the best, in my opinion. So I was very excited to get this with the articulation and the sculpt and the accessories. So let's get this baby open and do a review on these figures. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. So there's the front of the box. We get Batman and Robin. Not Dick Grayson, unfortunately. There's the bottom of the box, and make sure every Mafex has that sticker on the bottom here, this metallic sticker, to show you that it's the real deal. There's the side of the box. Back of the box shows you what you're going to get. Other side, nice dynamic pose, and there is the top of the box. Already cut the tape on top, so let's see what we got here. And if you look inside, you actually have the image of Batman and Robin, and this is like further into the graphic novel, or the probably like the second or third issue in the 4-part series, because Batman starts out with the classic Batman suit, which I love. That's really why I love this figure so much, is because it just has that original iconic logo. I mean, I love the, the very classic logo of just the bat, the black bat, but there's something about the bat signal logo where it's like the more refined symbol in the yellow. Just love that Batman. So anyhow, let's bust this baby open without breaking it and all the pieces falling all over the place, which always happens to me. And you can laugh at me if it does. Here's the two stands that it comes with on the back. I'm not going to open those because I just really want to check out the figures. But I'm going to open up this bubble here and see what we got. I'll try and make this a quicker review so I'm not keeping you guys here forever. But there are two figures here, so it'll be a little bit longer. But I was excited to get Robin too, and just like this cloth cape. Like, actually, let's review Robin first, because Batman always gets all the love. I know that Dick Grayson is not in this story, and it's Carrie Kelly, but man, what I wouldn't give for a Mafex classic Robin like this. And just look at that. I just love the yellow cape with the wire in it. And it's folded. It has the folds like ironed into it. Just really nice dynamic cape. And I love how the wire's there so you can pose it over the shoulders. How Batman and Robin, fold their cape over their shoulders and sort of conceal themselves and hide their arms. She looks really good. Very 80s. With her sort of combed over bangs in the front, very retro. And her retro glasses that are like black and green instead of the typical domino mask. But just look at that costume. I mean, that is the classic, pixie sort of fairy looking Robin costume. And it's nice that it's on a girl, because it didn't look very masculine. Even though they kind of played up the dynamic of him being a circus performer, and you could kind of buy it. You could definitely buy it back in the day. And then she sort of has the Peter Pan, Robin Hood, pixie boots. Just great articulation. Let's go over that. That's about as far as the straddle goes. The legs don't pop down, so they don't go that far. We got the kick that goes that high. This is very reminiscent of the Burt Ward costume, and it is the classic Robin costume. The Robin costume finally got an upgrade in the 90s with the Tim Drake costume, and that's probably the best looking Robin costume. I love the double jointed knees. You can just get the real dynamic posing there. Nice articulation in the neck as always. Got the double joint on the neck there for Carrie Kelly. We got butterfly joints. Just look at that Robin R. That looks fantastic. Nice. I mean, just look at that back bend. Look at that torso bend. I may just like swap the heads with Carrie Kelly because I don't like Carrie Kelly. And the body doesn't look effeminate. So it would work if I switched like the Robin heads, maybe. Double jointed elbows. Just because, like, Dick Grayson, he's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. I love him as Robin. I love him as Nightwing. Articulation in the wrists. We got the full rotation. Just standard Mafex. Is there a bicep swivel? There is an elbow swivel. So there's no bicep, but there's a butterfly like in the shoulders, and then there's also a joint in the shoulders. So great range of motion. Just really, really wonderful, classic looking Robin figure. And I love just like the wire and the cape. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but so The Dark Knight Returns came out in 1986. That's around the time of the Superpowers action figures, which I had. And this reminds me of my Superpowers Robin. So Carrie Kelly. So she comes with an alternate head, more like with her hair like sort of teased back in the wind. I actually might use this head instead of the combed over 80s bangs. Hated that look on girls back in the day. They just had that big swoop. That's sort of more like punk, so I like that one a lot. So Carrie Kelly, even though she's a girl, looks a little bit more androgynous and can pose for Robin. Accessories for her, you get the slingshot, which is kind of, it's okay. It's a little Bart Simpson for me. There's even the little bolt or pellet in there. But Bart Simpson was all the rage back then, back in the day. So you get the slingshot, which is fine, and that's not going to stay in there. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of hands. Here's a set of open hands, just that nice bright green, which looks really nice. We have a set of holding hands, so you could put the slingshot in the holding hands, I believe. If I can get that in there. No, I stand corrected. The slingshot will not fit in those hands. Maybe it's the last set of hands that it'll fit in. Just going to tilt this down just a little bit more before I bust out Batman himself. The grizzled, gnarly Dark Knight. I mean, he's just so big and jacked. I was curious, like, what Frank Miller was thinking about when he drew him like that. But I do love in the movies how Ben Affleck was just huge. Yeah, okay. So those are the slingshot holding hands. And I'll swap one of those out. I always put the fisted hands on. I guess it looks more, dynamic in the packaging. But I always take the fisted hands off, especially when they come with weapons. Because I just like them to... I like the figures to hold the weapons because it's just fun. You know what I mean? There you go. That looks really good. Yeah, so a more dynamic looking Carrie Kelly there. And I'm going to put this fisted hand on there. And I'm going to take her other hand and swap that baby out. And that looks good, my friends. This is such a great looking Robin. I know they're going to be doing Nightwing, so the Hush Nightwing is going to be coming, which I can't wait for because I just love Dick Grayson. But I hope they do a Tim Drake Robin costume from Hush, which is fantastic looking because that's probably the best looking Robin costume in my opinion. So let's get the Beast out himself. And here is Batman. Oof. He's just so big and bulky. He's almost like the Hulk. It's like, it is like the Hulk body type. So let's, so it comes with like some plastic here. It's kind of just like, I love how they do that just to protect the paint. Just shows that they care about the figures. And, it's really in there though with his super underwear. There we go. Try and pull it out there with his crotch. There you go. He looks good, man. I just love this Batman. I wish for an accessory so Batman gets like shot in the chest and this part gets a little destroyed. The logo gets destroyed and underneath you can see the Kevlar in the comic, and I just love that. That was such a great image. I wish they would have given a swappable chest piece. That just would have been a nice accessory for Batman instead of, the multiple, like 10 sets of hands that you don't need. But yeah, just like articulation. So this Bruce Wayne is old, which I love. He's like old and grizzled, sort of like, Clint Eastwood, Clint Eastwood was a huge inspiration for him in the Deadpool movies, like of the 70s and 80s. So just like the grizzled retired cop who comes back into action, but man, he looks fantastic. And he has wires in his cape as well, and they just have it like the nice fold so you can do the spread. But he is just a beast, like a beast. He must have taken a bunch of baths in the Lazarus pit to get this jacked so he can go out and still be Batman. But I think in the comic, in The Dark Knight Returns, he's 55 years old. Carrie Kelly's 13. I think Alfred's in his 80s. Which is sort of what they're going for in the Batman versus Superman and the Justice League. Batman's a lot older. I don't think he's supposed to be 50 in the movies, but he's like in his late 40s. I mean, just as Ben Affleck is. And just looks great. I mean, he has a knife there, that a couple knives that don't come out. Just ammo pouches all over. Just the utility belt looking great. And look at his grizzled back. Just looks fantastic. I love the bright blue colors, just indicative of the classic costume for so many years. You know, the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Back in the 30s and the 40s, it was black. And then it was the different logo. But here he is compared to my favorite Batman, which is the Jim Lee Hush version, which I think is the perfect Batman figure. And there is Bruce Wayne's young head. And here's the cowl. And if you want to compare the two cowls, which look pretty similar, it's just the Frank Miller Batman is just so much larger. And like, as you can see, look, the cape doesn't even drag on the ground. Or I guess you can't see that, but it doesn't drag like below his feet. Where with the Jim Lee cape, it is very long. Sort of cumbersome of a cape. But let's get a look at the different head sculpts here. And we have Bruce Wayne. He's just looking old and grizzled and slick. I love it. We'll compare him to the younger Jim Lee Bruce Wayne. Just much more young and spry and dynamic. I love this look, though. It's just great. He's a great looking Batman. Looks so good. I'm going to pop this head off and get a better look at him. Also, I don't know if the cape does appear to be glued on, but you may be able to remove that if you wanted to. I don't know if you'd want to. But, oh yeah, look at that. Oh, he is just a brick shit house. So articulation, shoulders go up that far. Look at that beautiful gray. We got the butterfly joints, so we can just do some dynamic posing. Let's see, for the straddle. Oh, it's a little bit limited, so we get not too much of a straddle, so he's not going to be doing very like dynamic kicks. His kick does go up that high, so you can sort of do like a This Is Sparta and just like kick him in the chest if you want to pose. We got the toe articulation, looks very good. His just quads and thighs are huge. There is a little bit of rotation in the hip joint. Got the double jointed knees, ankle rocker up and down, and then there's the pivot, of course, as you can see, and toe articulation. Let's see how much of a crunch he has. We do have a good crunch. It's not smooth because of the costume. And then we got a back bend. And then we got 2 points of articulation for the waist turn. There's one on the hips. And I don't know if the utility belt, I don't think it's glued on there, but it might be. Yeah, so there's a little, I think it's like ported or glued on right on the back of the trunks. So really great stuff. Beautiful, beautiful figure. Just, awesome. That's the thing, is like they give you these head sculpts too, and it's like, oh, I don't know how I want to display it because it's just so good looking. Here is the other Batman head sculpt, and he has gritted teeth, as you can see. There's the top, and that's what he looks like there. So you get 3 Batman heads and you get 2 Robin heads. And let's see how they stack up together. She is very small compared to the 2. I'll show you guys. So if we stand Batman up back here, see if I can get him straight, standing like totally standing up tall. And then if we stand her there, like, man, she is just so small. And here she is with the younger Bruce Wayne, Jim Lee Batman. And as you guys can see, they are, he is just the Dark Knight, Frank Miller Batman just seems just a smidge taller than the Hush Batman, as you can see there, which is just, wow. Beautiful, beautiful work. I mean, look at that logo. That logo alone and the bright colors, it just sells it for me, man. You also get a folded mask, as if he took his cowl off. We can pop the head off and just throw that on like so. And then you can have that option if you want, which is great. And what else? We get, you get 5 sets of hands with Batman. So we get some open grabby hands, because he does do some dynamic posing on the cover. We have holding hands, which for the batarangs, he comes with batarangs. That's it. Let's see, what else? We get fisted hands with some open thumbs. I don't really understand that. And then last but not, so they, like, see, that's just so redundant. Like, so they gave us 2 sets of fisted hands. For what purpose? You get, like, can anybody tell me the difference between these fisted hands and the other fisted hands? And there's only a small difference, and I can just see that his thumbs are slightly disconnected on this one. And, you know, that's fine, but you know, they could have given us, like I said, and it didn't come with the shotgun either, or the rifle. Like, he has a rifle, a grappling rifle, in the comic, at least at this point, and it does not come with that. So that would have been a nice accessory as well, is the grappling rifle, because at this point in the comic, that's what he has. So what else do we have? We have the batarangs, and I'm just going to pull one of those out because they're all the same. And it's just a real tiny batarang, and I believe the batarang, he can hold them between his fingers like so. So you get a batarang that you can put in his fingers just like that. So I'll probably put those hands on and display him with the batarangs like so. Thing is, they give you all these little tiny batarangs, and they're real easy to lose. So, but anyhow, guys, this is just a stunning looking Batman. You got the wired cape, which is just really fun. So glad they started doing that. This fabric is a real thick, sort of like canvas fabric, maybe. It's very thick, so it looks matted. Has a sort of matted color where the Jim Lee cape is real silky and shiny looking. So you just really get some really great posing with this Batman. And I'm going to switch his hands out. Yeah. Yeah, so you can do all sorts of great posing with this Bruce Wayne. I just love it. He looks great. Yeah, so guys, if you are, guys and gals, whoever's watching, I don't know if any gals are watching these videos, but if you are, welcome. You know, if you love this classic comic book, if you love Frank Miller's style and you love these characters, you gotta get these versions, the Mafex Medicom version of Batman and Carrie Kelly Robin, because they just look fantastic. They're beautiful. They're probably the... Mafex makes the best 6-inch figures, in my opinion. So, highly recommend it. Well worth it. You can get them at Big Bad Toy Store, Plaza Japan, eBay, of course. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. God bless you all. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and peace.